Israel strikes Iran's nuclear sites. Operation Rising Lion ignites global nuclear tensions. Published by IQD2VND. News, stay updated, stay aware. Breaking. Israel launches bold strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. In an unprecedented and daring move, Israel has launched a series of targeted strikes on Iran's deeply buried nuclear facilities, signaling a sharp escalation in Middle East tensions. The operation, codenamed Rising Lion, has stunned the world, with global powers now bracing for potential fallout that could drag multiple nations into conflict and possibly ignite a regional nuclear arms race. This is a massive gamble by Israel, reports BBC's security correspondent Frank Gardner. What triggered the Israeli strikes? According to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, Iran was accelerating efforts to build a nuclear bomb. Israeli intelligence alleged that Tehran's nuclear program was nearing a critical threshold, one from which reversing or stopping it would become near impossible. Israel claims that this bold military action was their only viable option to halt Iran's nuclear progression and prevent a spiraling regional arms race. But the counter-argument is equally chilling. Did this strike just push Iran over the edge? Iran's nuclear program, how much was actually hit? Despite the severity of the attack, it remains unclear how much of Iran's underground nuclear infrastructure has been destroyed. Experts suggest that Israel lacks the kind of bunker-buster weapons needed to fully eliminate such heavily fortified sites. Frank Gardner notes, although Israel dealt a severe blow, there's no guarantee this is the silver bullet. Much of Iran's program is buried deep, possibly untouched. Retaliation incoming. How will Iran respond? Iran has already launched retaliatory drone strikes, targeting Israeli cities like Tel Aviv. Fortunately, many of these drones were intercepted, but the question remains, will Iran stop here or escalate? Even more concerning is Iran's possible redirection of its fury towards Gulf allies of the U.S., countries like Jordan, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. Jordan has already been involved in intercepting Iranian drones. Nuclear domino effect. Could this spark a regional arms race? Inside Iran, hardline factions are now emboldened. The hawks within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, are reportedly declaring, "We told you so. The best deterrent is the bomb." Should Iran now officially pursue nuclear weaponization, nations like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt may follow suit. This is the very nuclear nightmare that diplomats across the globe have feared for decades. Where does the U.S. stand? Trump's complex role. Former President Donald Trump, known for his close ties to Israel, had been quietly trying to negotiate a grand bargain with Iran. He dispatched negotiators like Steve Witkoff to Muscat and Rome in hopes of reaching a deal that would lift sanctions in exchange for Iran limiting its nuclear activities. But according to sources, negotiations went nowhere. Israel lost patience and acted, informing Trump ahead of time but receiving no resistance. Though the U.S. did not participate, it also did not stop the strikes. Now Washington's priority is protecting U.S. forces in the region and deterring further Iranian retaliation. Will Iran now go for the bomb? Frank Gardner highlights the core danger. The hardliners in Iran are likely to double down. This may prove to be the moment they go all in on acquiring a nuclear bomb. Iran already possesses large amounts of highly enriched uranium, 60%, just a step away from weapons grade, 90%. While Iran denies weaponization, it already has a powerful arsenal of ballistic missiles, and now, potentially, the motivation to arm them with nuclear warheads. Could diplomacy still win? Ironically, a peaceful solution once existed. The 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, a landmark agreement signed under President Obama. Iran had agreed to strict inspections and limits in return for sanctions relief. But in 2018, President Trump pulled the U.S. out of the deal, prompting Iran to restart enrichment. If diplomacy fails now, Gardner says, the world may be headed for a nuclear-armed Middle East. What happens next? Possible scenarios in the coming days. Expanded retaliation by Iran against Israel, U.S. bases, or Gulf allies. More Israeli strikes. Operation Rising Lion could continue. Global diplomatic emergency. UN may convene an emergency session. Nuclear arms race ignition. Saudi Arabia and others may pursue nuclear arms. Cyber attacks and proxy conflicts. Iran may strike via Hezbollah or in Iraq, Syria. Final thoughts. The world watches, breath held. The stakes are higher than ever. Israel's attack may have been a calculated effort to stop a nightmare scenario, but it may have also sparked the very threat it hoped to prevent: a nuclear-armed Iran and a destabilized Middle East. We are standing at the edge of history. Stay informed with IQD to VND News. If you're new here, subscribe now and turn on the bell icon. Our mission is to reach 500 subscribers soon and deliver trusted, fast, and in-depth updates on global crises, economic shifts, and currency developments.